Yo, what up? It's Moon from Greek Fire, and you're listening to the Blues Hockey Podcast.
Welcome back to the Blues Hockey Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, along with Chris.
Yo.
And Ashley, unfortunately, is not with us today. So, our big Blues preview. So, we've done the East, both the West, except for both the West divisions, except for the Blues.
Correct.
So, now we're just on to just the Blues and go into a deeper dive of what the Blues did in the offseason, what we think they're going to do, how things are going to go. So, first off, we'll do some Blues news to catch everybody up. So we're recording on the 22nd of September, so this might be a smidgen behind on everything. They just finished up a preseason game last night.
Correct.
3-0 shutout, pretty much against the AHL version of the Columbus Blue Jackets, minus like Sergei Bobrovsky and maybe one or two. I don't think Panarin was there. And
it was a pretty stripped-down team.
It was a pretty stripped-down, but 3-0. Sammy Blais looks great.
He does.
I thought Jay Bouwmeester looked fantastic last night. He looked like Jay Bouwmeester of 2 or 3 years ago, where he's like, "You're passable, nice, okay, you look great."
He needs to be.
Yeah. I thought Chad Johnson once again looked okay. Like, I mean, he didn't test that much, so it's kind of hard.
He
to
made
judge.
the saves that were asked of him.
Which
That's
is
all you can ask.
All you're asking for. So, I'll take it 3-0. Pat Maroon continues to do what Pat Maroon does, front of the net, banging a goal.
It's something that this Blues team has missed since Backus left. Backus and Brouwer, they left the same year. So, and I really think that's where Maroon's going to earn his money. Is he's going to be that guy who's got skill, but he can also use the body and get in front of the net and pick up some of those dirty goals.
Yeah, so we'll take that. And then also the weird thing about the last so far in all the preseason games, the power play.
What's up with that? We actually have one now.
It looks like a power play, which is
a
good.
real honest to goodness hockey power play.
2 for 2 again last night against Columbus. Pat Maroon has both his goals in the preseason have been power play goals. I believe they are almost at like a 78% clip.
That won't last.
Trust me, that will not last. If you can get that thing in the high 20s,
I'm happy.
That's real good.
Yeah.
If you can get that in the mid 20s, I'll take it. Because last year you were in the middle
12?
teens into the 12s. Yeah. I think that you dropped down. I think that you finished 30th last year, which is real bad. And then 18 overall. So you put the two, like they always say, like Ken Hitchcock would always say, if you put you add your power play percentage and your penalty kill percentage, you should be, if you're over 100, you're doing a good job. And the Blues were at 96%. So no.
The PK was fine.
They ranked 18, so a little less than average last year.
The power play was just terrible.
Yeah, so that was not good last year. So hopefully that's one of the keys we kind of thought would be part of the turnaround this year.
Yep. I mean, it couldn't get much worse.
So we'll do a rewind again, kind of like we'll go over to a degree what we did in the after free agency. We'll kind of go over that again. So once again, the Blues did not make the playoffs last year. 1 point out. Lost the last game against Colorado 5-2. They promised changes will be made. A lot of, including me and Chris, were very skeptical on how they could make changes.
Well, I think we were skeptical because we've heard this before,
and also money wise, we didn't know they had money to spend, but we were in the 1% of like, we're not really getting John Tavares. Nice.
I mean, it's fun to dream, but anyone who really thought that we had a chance at Tavares was not paying attention to the hockey climate.
Yeah, so we're like, who are they going to get after? Who are they going to trade? Can they trade these contracts? I always said I thought the contracts were tradable. I'll toot my own horn, toot that I was correct on that for Patrick Berglund. So we'll start at the beginning of free agency. The Blues start free agency, obviously lose out on John Tavares. Figured that happened.
Correct.
Next thing that came up, the Blues signed old friend David Perron. 4 years, $16 million.
Fan favorite, David Perron.
Fan favorite. Thank you for correcting me. Thanks to Doug Armstrong on that one. Fan favorite, David Perron. Signed 4 years, so signing his fourth contract with the St. Louis Blues.
Only team he's ever signed a contract with.
Yeah, crazy. He's played with 5 teams.
Yes.
Blues,
Oilers,
Edmonton, Pittsburgh,
Ducks,
Anaheim,
Vegas.
Yep. So, have him back like another right winger, somebody with a right hand shot, which the Blues only had one of those last year, and that was Kyle Brodziak. Like we said, nothing against Kyle Brodziak, but you need somebody with a little more threat. And David Perron had a career year last year. So the next big free agent signing was like we talked about. I was like not down on it, but I was like, oh, maybe underwhelmed, I guess you could say. Chris was a little more.
I was happy with this one
because I guess we were expecting like the Ryan O'Reilly thing to come through, and it
Yes.
didn't. So anyway. Tyler Bozak comes over for Toronto, 3 years, $5 million per year, so $15 million.
Right.
At the end of the day, he's pretty much a power play specialist, but that's what you need right now.
And that's why I was excited. Like people, look, I knew that he wasn't going to be your number one center. I knew that realistically you're looking at a number 2, probably number 3 center. Mm-hmm. But what he brings to the power play is something that was sorely missed in this team last year. So, I look at that signing and I realize, all right, we've lost out on Tavares. It doesn't sound like O'Reilly's going to happen. So you take Bozak and you, if nothing else, have bolstered your power play.
Yeah, so at least
hopefully.
And somebody who's pretty decent on faceoffs.
Yeah.
In which you lost, you traded Paul Stastny in it last year, and he went to Vegas.
For a lot of money.
I believe it was 3 years at 6.5, I want to say. Along with Ryan Reeves, making almost $3 million for 2 years.
Vegas is spending drunk money.
They re-signed Fleury and got Max Pacioretty, and they signed him to a big deal too. On top of that, so they threw money around like it was nothing this offseason, which they had the money to spend because they took a bunch of expiring contracts. So that's what, and they didn't re-sign
Very true.
a couple people.
Very true.
Those two guys are signed. The Blues get their backup goalie because after you start seeing a bunch of goalies slowly fall off throughout the day. I was on the Anton Khudobin train, but he went to Dallas. Yaroslav Halak was like my second-ish choice. He went to Boston.
Yep.
So Blues get Chad Johnson, who was in Buffalo last year.
Basically trade backups.
Yes, because Carter Hutton signs up there to be basically the starter 1A type guy. Chad Johnson did not have a good year, but his numbers career-wise are pretty much along the same lines as Jake Allen's. Maybe slightly better. He has .914, according to what I'm reading right here. So that's not bad. Last year on a god-awful Buffalo team, he was like at a .889. So which is not great.
Considering who
Buffalo's
was
awful
on that team.
Yeah. They were not great, so I kind of chalked it up to that. He had a couple good years in Calgary for a while there.
Yes.
And then he's just bounced around. This is his 7th team in 8 years, so
wow.
He's definitely a journeyman. The definition of journeyman goalie.
For sure. I didn't realize he was that traveled.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah, he just bouncing around. So Blues wind up being done for the day. They have the little press conference, little quick thing with Kerber and Doug Armstrong, and that's when the fan favorite Dave Perron line comes from. So everybody's thinking they're done for the day. It's 3 o'clock. Go all my business. I'm like, all right, no need to watch Twitter anymore or pay attention to my phone. Go have dinner, hang out with the family. Actually, at home, relaxing, and my phone buzzes, and the Blues have traded for Ryan O'Reilly. And I'm like, oh, awesome. I'm pretty excited. Let's see what they did. Oh, my gosh, they got rid of a bunch of people. Tage Thompson, Patrick Berglund, Vladimir Sobotka, a first-round pick, and a second-round pick. The first-round pick is in 2019. The second-round pick is in 2021.
It's a heavy price tag, but at the same time, it frees up cash.
The Blues actually did gain cap room on this. The people don't
as
realize
shocking
it.
as it is. I mean, not a ton, but hey, man, at this point, you're looking at a team that is a very expensive team. They're spending to the cap.
Yeah, within $300,000.
Yeah, every dollar they can get helps. And not only do you get rid of 2 contracts, which you needed to get rid of in Berglund and Sobotka, but you free up cap space. Because remember, the Blues immediately had to write Ryan O'Reilly a $7 million check.
Yeah, $7.5 million had to be paid by midnight, and the trade was made at 7. So they basically had, I think it was Eastern time. The NHL offices go off of, so they had basically 4 hours.
Yeah.
But people make a big deal of that too. But it's like that's his salary for the year.
Yeah, you don't pay him again until what? That's time next year.
I think he makes like $1 million against salary. So like you paid him the 7.5. I mean his cap hit is 7.5, but you pay him that, but he gets $1 million just in salary the whole year. So I mean you're paying him, but you're just giving all his money up front. So basically you're writing a huge check to start compared to where you're paying Patrick Berglund, Vladimir Sobotka money throughout
all
the year.
Year long.
Yeah, so I mean, it not balances out, but
I get it.
To me, it's like, okay, it's just upfront compared to over the course of a year. So Blues are done for that day. I think it's a good trade for both teams, honestly. Buffalo gets a bunch of depth. Blues get a possible number one center, at least a number one, let's say 1A and 1B with Shen. You can flip those guys around.
I agree with you that I think it's a win for both sides.
Some people
don't
see
tell
that
that to people in Buffalo.
Really? They see it which way do they see it then?
That we drug them over the coals.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Look, Ryan O'Reilly was really all they had on a team last year that was bad when everyone else who was good was decimated by injury.
Yeah, Eichel was out quite a bit last year.
And we sent them two guys who haven't really lived up to the hype. A prospect who could be great.
Had a beautiful preseason goal last night.
Tage Thompson
NHL,
could
so
be
we'll
fantastic.
Yeah.
And then draft picks. I was surprised, honestly, that Buffalo didn't want something more substantial in this trade.
Remember, there was rumors of Parayko and
Parayko's name was thrown around.
Kyrou was thrown around.
Yep. What I had originally heard was that they wanted one of the big three prospects, and then Parayko's name was thrown around. There was someone else, I don't remember whose name was thrown around. I think it was Sobotka. I don't think Berglund's name was ever mentioned.
Berglund was mentioned last season, but not once again. I was considered that contract's not getting moved,
right?
Because they just signed him. So why would we trade him after just signing him?
But the thing that surprised me was you have a Buffalo team now who has Eichel back, has the number one overall pick this year.
Yeah, Rasmus Dahlin.
They signed Carter Hutton to be their goalie. This team, if you talk to
traded
the
for
ownership,
Jeff Skinner, so I mean,
if you talk to the ownership, if you talk to fans, if you talk to players, it's no longer we're building for the future. It's the future is now. We want to win.
Yeah,
and so that's why I was a little shocked to see that they went for quantity over quality with the return for O'Reilly.
Yeah, because they were hyping their big prospect, Casey Middlestad, who is their big center prospect, who now is getting pushed to basically number 2 center instead of the number 3 center if they had Ryan O'Reilly there. So I had a great move for the Blues. So let's move on to later on. So basically, you think things are done, then there's rumors the Blues are in on Pat Maroon, and you're like, there's no way we can sign this guy because he once did pretty well last year. Can make good money, make maybe it's not his final contract, but his last big money contract possibly. And then there's rumors of possibly he had back surgery and maybe he's not. Well, he wanted to sign a 1-year deal for $1.75 million with the Blues, which is basically less than he made last year.
Crazy good contract.
He gets to come home playing from his son, which he said is a big deal, and it was a very good story, and that's pretty awesome.
I legitimately don't see any downside to this deal.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, you're out of it after a year. You're not locked into 4 or 5 years. If it does work, he's going to want to resign here because it's his hometown.
Yeah, and he wants to maybe likes the team, the way it's going. On top of that, on top of being at home and being with his son instead of being away, he said he's been away for 9 years of his son's life, wants to be around. I can empathize with that. So I would say,
sure,
kudos to him for kind of, a lot of guys. You're only a hockey player for a certain amount of time, so you only get to make so much money for you can live off the rest of your life. And he basically put family in front of money, so that's like to me. We give Pat Maroon crap because of what we are in our floor hockey interaction with Pat.
Yeah, no, I have no ill will towards Pat.
But it's one of those things where we're just like, I thought it was a very stand up thing.
For sure,
to do that. So.
And look, as anyone who listens to this show will probably agree with, and it's myself as someone who travels a lot for their job. There's something to be said about when you come home and go to bed at the end of a day, you're actually at home. I don't take for granted a single day that I have been in an industry that's largely, almost predominantly run on the 2 coasts, and I get to live in St. Louis where I'm from.
Yeah.
And, I can only imagine what it's like for Pat as a pro athlete.
All over North America.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude's lived in Anaheim, Edmonton, New Jersey.
Now here.
And now when he comes home from practice, when he comes home from a home game, when he comes home from a road trip, he's actually home.
Yeah.
And that's something that you legitimately cannot put a price tag on.
Yeah. So,
especially with family. I don't have that, but I couldn't imagine how much better his quality of life is being able to spend time with his kid.
Yeah, being out, basically gone for 8 to 9 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Depending on playoffs and other stuff. So, I mean, yeah, so kudos to Pat Maroon on that. So the Blues have a couple of housekeeping things. They signed Robbie Fabry to a very low-cost deal, about $925,000 1 year, prove-it type of deal. Same with Joel Edmondson, re-signs for 1 year, avoids arbitration, gets a little boost, like around $3.5 million. Let's see. Jordan Schmaltz re-signs for a 2-year deal. It's very interesting. The first year is a 2-way contract. Second year is a 1-way. So basically they're saying, Bortuzzo, Bouwmeester, and Gunnarsson have contract expiring. You'll probably have a spot after that.
Yes.
If you play well, obviously. So, and he signed for very cheap as well. So basically after all these signings, the Blues are about barely $300,000 below the cap. We can go through all the minor signings. I guess the biggest, quote unquote, biggest minor signing is Jordan Nolan. Yeah. It's a 2-way contract, depth for the San Antonio, help protect the kids, basically. Might come up if you need a fourth liner type of thing, depending on how they do the fourth line.
Is this the closest to the cap the Blues have ever been?
Without doing research, I couldn't tell you, but I would say it has to be.
Yeah,
because
that's what I was thinking.
To be this, be in the middle of the summer and be that close. I mean, you're talking maybe in the beginning of the season with other stuff that comes up. Maybe they were that close, but
the only thing that scares me about us being this close to the cap is I don't see any room to add to this team at the trade deadline if they need it.
Yeah, unless you need something.
Unless you're going to start trading people out or putting people on the waiver wire or something.
Yeah, because the guys like Chris Thorburn has been widely talked about, a guy who might be the sacrifice. Depending on Dmitry Yaskin, who re-signed for $1.1 million, if he performs and perform well,
I would be fine with both of those two going away.
Yeah, so that's $2 million right there if those guys don't make it. Some Blues. Let's go into that's the off season. Training camp starts. Looks like the top line they're going to go with, which is interesting. It'll be Ryan O'Reilly in the middle with Tarasenko on the right, Pat Maroon on the left. Very interesting.
I don't know if that sticks.
So far, that's kind of looks like they're going that way. Pat Maroon's played with Connor McDavid, Taylor Hall, so he's played with guys with speed. So you can't make the argument that Pat Maroon's going to hold these guys back. I think neither O'Reilly or Tarasenko is known for their blazing speed. So
valid.
So I'm interested to see how O'Reilly meshes with Tarasenko because it seemed like Stastny never did.
I would agree with that.
I mean, you can say he was given a chance or whatever you want to say, but
he meshed with Schwartz, but I don't think he ever meshed with Tarasenko.
Yeah.
Hey man, and look, people do that. Let's go back to '92. You trade out Adam Oates, who could not have been more in sync with Brett Hull. And you trade him for another center, hoping that you're going to be able to capture that same magic. That dude doesn't end up having the chemistry with Hull. Janney ends up having the chemistry on ice with Shanahan.
Yep.
And Janney and Shanahan are amazing together on the ice.
Yeah, and off.
Well, the other Janney and Shanahan on the off ice. But I mean, that type of thing happens. You bring playmakers in, assuming that they will work with your big gun.
And then next would be, I guess, Doug Waite came in, I guess.
Yeah.
Pierre
Turgeon came in.
Then Doug Waite, okay.
Right. So, you bring in these playmakers, you assume, they'll be great. We have Brett Hull, we have Vladimir Tarasenko, whoever the sniper of the team may be, and you assume that they'll find chemistry, and sometimes they do, but sometimes they find it in someone else. And I think with Paul, it was him and Schwartz. Whereas I think you see this connection with Braden Shen and Tarasenko and Schwartz. I think the three of them get along great.
Yeah, so it's
So if you put O'Reilly with Tarasenko, then I'm assuming you have to have a number 2 line of
Schwartz, Shen,
and
Perron. Right. Now that's at least it looks like the plan. Sammy Blais is changing that a little bit, it looks like. Or possibly Jordan Kyrou, who's both had great camps so far. Injuries have played a factor so far. David Perron's been out with a quote-unquote sore groin. So has Tyler Bozak, who had a couple goals in the other night in a win. Let's see. Who else a big one? Jake Allen. Basically, camp is getting ready to start. And the first thing, here's guys with injuries so far. Eric Foley, who got hurt at the Traverse tournament, unfortunately. The Blues did not perform well there, so we won't really talk about that.
1, 2, and 1?
Yes. Won the last game against Chicago, so I guess you can take that away that we won't beat Chicago. So let's see. And no. That's about it. Oh, the other thing that happened during camp was very interesting. Dmitry Sergev.
Yes, that guy.
That guy. Played in the ECHL last year. Came to camp out of shape and was immediately sent home.
Well,
Sent down to the minors. And then he said, screw you guys, I quit. And they said, okay, deal. And they both mutually agreed to terminate your contract, and he is going back to Russia or wherever the hell he's from. So,
great.
Good for you. So, Blues so far, I think, look good. We talked about it a little bit. Power play looks good. Chemistry is, like I said, it's very early, so recording is a little bit early compared to where it is. They did send down some players today, so nobody of surprise, I would say. Let's see. The big one is, right when I saw it, they assigned, there it is, Connor Bleckley, Brian Flynn, Tanner Kaspick, Austin Poganski, and Trevor Smith, along with defenseman Joey Lelegia, Sam Lofquist, Tyler Witherspoon, and goaltenders Jordan Binnington, who did not look great in the preseason game, and Evan Fitzpatrick. So all those players have been sent down to the Rampage for, I think their camp opens this week. The Blues sit at 40 players. That includes all your injured players for the week.
All right.
So 40 guys left. They sent a couple other guys been shipped out to juniors. The Torpachenko.
Yep.
He got sent out. Hofer, I believe his name is, the goalie. So he got sent back to his team. That's about it. They did put a little thing out the other day. Jake Allen is improving, so he might actually get in more than the 10 to 14 days originally assigned. Ville Husso looked pretty good the other night in the comeback win. So I'm kind of curious to see how that's one of the storylines I think to watch is the Johnson-Husso deal. I think they're probably going to wind up sticking with Chad Johnson unless Ville Husso goes on this crazy, crazy run.
I don't see why they wouldn't.
Chad Johnson has looked good. So that's been
he's looked solid.
So that makes me feel a little better that you won't have to rely on somebody like Ville Husso in case Jake Allen is hurt again. Then you're kind of putting this team that you're putting a lot of hope into to go far on like a rookie goalie. But who knows? So we talked in length about the Central team and all the changes and all this other stuff that they've done. So going into this year, Chris, who do you think is going to win this division, and where do the Blues stack up amongst the other teams in the Central Division?
Well, as we talked a little bit in the last show, I think that you could break this Central Division down into tiers. I think there's a first tier, which is Nashville and Winnipeg. And I think those two teams are neck and neck for the division lead. One will be 1, one will be 2. And I think you flip a coin. They're both fantastic. If you pressured me, I'd probably say Nashville just because of the experience. But damn, Winnipeg looks good.
Yeah.
I think underneath them, you have the Blues and Colorado as far as teams who are going to be fighting it out for that last division spot in the playoffs, maybe that first wild card spot. I think that those teams were at a dead heat essentially last year with Colorado winning by 1 point. I think the Blues have done more in the offseason to better themselves than Colorado has. So I will give the edge to the Blues and put the Blues in third place over Chicago. Underneath that, I think you're looking at Minnesota and Dallas. To me, Minnesota's getting old.
Correct.
They're getting injury prone. Dallas, while not old, has its own injuries to deal with, namely in goal. But the bigger problem is, I look at the Dallas Stars, and they're a team that every year is a sexy pick to do something, and then they don't do it. And then, as wild as it sounds, I think I picked Chicago to finish in the bottom of the division again. And I'm not saying that the window is closed on Chicago, but you have a team that's still going to have to address this problem with Corey Crawford. He's still not back. Mm-hmm. And as it was proven last year, they don't have anyone in goal that can do
take a full time. Yeah.
So that team's legitimately in a bad way. They have no goalie. They have no money to spend. So they have to hope that whoever they have is going to step up and get it done. And I don't know if they will.
Yeah, I with you on that one. I like Winnipeg. I see them as rising up. I think Nashville is going to be. I've heard somebody say this on NHL radio. I think I mentioned it on one of the podcasts. Was the new Washington of the West, and they took that away from us.
Okay, I would say that we're probably
I would say we're that
team until we win.
We've been around a lot more. Nashville's only kind of maybe quote unquote failed maybe 3 times.
Yeah,
Blues a lot more. So let's see what else do we got here. Let's see. Like you said, the tier thing is correct. Winnipeg, Nashville, and then I have us going third. I see Minnesota not being great. I see Dallas, if they can get secondary scoring, can be on our heels. If they can't,
I agree.
They will probably fall to the back. I still don't like their defense. Klingberg's about all they got. The new guy is supposed to be pretty good, the Heiskanen or whatever it's called.
Yep.
Ben Bishop needs to stay healthy, so who knows about that. You can say the same about all Minnesota. Like they rely on Eric Stahl, who's very getting up there. If he does great, Zach Parise had major hip surgery. Ryan Suter defies age and still does 30 minutes a game.
That guy is a machine. Conversely, Zach Parise, not so much.
So those deals are all getting to be the back end of those deals where they're.
How many years left on him?
It has to be a handful, right?
Well, I was thinking 3 or 4 years left.
Yeah, at least. So I just don't see them doing great. Chicago, nobody wants to admit it, but I think they need to go into a rebuild because they just.
Well, I think they're going to get forced into one if they can't figure out this Crawford deal.
You just don't have assets, too. I mean, they have a couple of guys. They have a couple of guys that are okay, but I mean, they had to trade a couple of guys to get rid of the Hossa contract so they wouldn't be up against the cap anymore because you guys got like Seabrook and Keith are declining greatly.
Seabrook was damn near a non-factor last year.
Keith didn't have a goal until like against us. I think us, and we were like game 80 something before he kind of got a goal, right? He scored against us. Remember, maybe it was one of them. Yeah, had a goal late in the season.
He scored the goal with 4 seconds.
That was Keith though. I remember that. It was Keith. Yeah,
and that's the one. Yeah, it was the second goal of the year.
Yeah, and Crawford, they won't admit it, but he had him pads on this week and play. But guess what? They're like he can only take shots from the waist up. Phrasing. That's what it said on NHL radio. I was like, that's not good.
Yeah,
like,
that's
you can't.
That's not a game. That's not a guy who's ready to play.
Yeah. So I hopefully the guy is. I don't wish ill will on anybody about that, but man, I guess you got to know when to call it too. At the same time, like for your health reasons,
How weird would it be to have Chicago lose 2 big players to really weird illnesses type things?
Yeah, that's Crawford only has a couple years left, so that one doesn't. The Hossa one is like it was called perfectly. That's just the crazy one where it's really the last 2 years of his deal where he's only making less than $1 million, but still has the $5 million cap hit. So that 12 or 13 year deal is finally coming through. So it's just funny how quote unquote funny how it worked. So, who knows? Like I said, Blues make the playoffs. We'll face a tough opponent in either, I would say, probably Nashville in the first round. Like you say, Nashville or Winnipeg, because it'd be 2 and 3.
If you're going to press me, I'll say Winnipeg.
Yeah, so it's going to be a dog fight. Like you said, I think those two are going to fight, and then we're going to have a fight for third and possibly wild card. Because I think the Pacific is loaded this year.
Pacific's tough.
Yeah, so
it's very odd to be sitting here to start a season and not be the division in the West that everyone's talking about.
Yeah,
I mean, not that people are discounting the Central, but the Pacific made some moves in a real big way.
Yeah, so like Vegas they're like we talked about, they're going for it. So
all the talent is out West now.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
Like the Eastern Conference.
Not in Ottawa.
No. Ooh. Although, boy, they kicked the bejesus out of Chicago.
Yeah.
What was the final? When I left, it was 2-1 after one. But that first period was all Ottawa.
I did not see the rest, so I know they won though. But interesting on how things are going in Ottawa. So who knows how that's going to be a storyline in NHL throughout the year. I think. So we'll go back. So I think we talked about third jerseys, basically the same.
We did. I mean,
basically the same. I mean, I'm wearing the Winter Classic one currently,
which is the exact same.
Minus the collars.
The collar's different. There's no patch, but it had kind of leaked in the couple of weeks before that.
Hearing it's going to be basically the Winter Classic with some changes.
Right, and the changes are minimal. I don't plan on buying one.
Yeah,
because I have a Winter Classic jersey.
I say thanks Blues, because I don't have to spend an extra couple $100 on a jersey now.
Yeah, so now I can go buy one of the 2 teams I still need.
Yeah, so it worked out. So. Blues made a bunch of changes to the now Enterprise Center, which we talked about that.
Which I'm excited to see.
debuted last night for the first time for preseason Blues stuff. They had a Maroon 5.
Maroon 5 a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then they had
something else there.
Something else. I don't remember what.
Yeah. But anyway, so it looks nice. I've heard some good. I have pretty good reviews so far. Mixed reviews online, but like I said, I think as we talked about, either Blues fans or we don't know society, you always find something to complain about, no matter how true it is. So, looking forward to seeing that this year. So, looking forward to having Blues hockey back. Look for
12
us.
12 days now?
12 days from now. So, from we're at 9/22. So, the first day of fall officially today, too. Let's see. Anything else on the docket? No. We're going to be coming to you every week with another format. We're going to have a YouTube channel officially.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
So that's going to be up soon. I'm going to try to put this podcast will be on there, and then I'm trying to do additional content throughout the year just for the YouTube channel. So, and also everything else is up: Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, the website blueshockeypodcast.net.
.net.
Yes, correct. Let's see. I think we're wrapping it up there. So anything else?
Shout out to Glassbangers.
Yep. I was going to bring that up for our new shirt. November 3rd, I believe we are going, correct?
Yes, we are.
Okay, we will be there. I'm pretty sure Ashley is. We'll double check on that one.
Yep.
I believe she has our ticket as well. So we will be there with our shirt. So if you did not see our shirt, it's very, it's, let's say, wrestling themed to keep a,
Last year we went Bullet Club.
Yeah, this year is another faction.
Yes.
It's
very, very popular, very familiar one from the 90s.
Yeah, so we'll see some interesting stuff with that coming up soon.
If
minor wrestling talk. So
if you like the shirt, cool. If not, then don't. But personally, I think the shirt is too sweet.
But yeah, I enjoy, and thanks to the guys at Glassbangers for doing that. So go. There's a link on all the socials.
Wear your shirt on the 3rd. Come find us and take a picture.
So that's our goal, is to get a shirt with everybody, or excuse me, a picture with everybody who has the shirt there. And then we're looking at a possible giveaway with that.
Yeah, because I got to admit, the shirt that the Blues are giving away that night,
I was disappointed.
It's okay.
Cool to a degree, like the belt. I love it has the Blues thing.
You know what?
But at the same time, I wish there was more to it.
To me, it looks like a little kid shirt.
I know. It's the John Cena shirt from a couple years ago.
It is the John Cena shirt with the U.S. title on it. It's not a shirt that I would wear.
Yeah.
It's
a shirt I wear on the house.
In years past, for Star Wars nights.
Yeah.
To me, they knocked it out of the park the year that they had
the lightsaber one.
Yes, with Latera Schwartz and Tarasenko,
and they had
hockey stick lightsabers.
Yeah, then they also had the Jaden Schwartz,
that was whatever.
I like that one.
And then last year they did the old school blue and yellow C-3PO shirt for Star Wars night that looked like a vintage shirt.
Yeah,
but those I wear. I look at this the WWE shirt and I'm like, you could have done so much. You could have done so much with it.
Yeah. So
and to me, it just looks like they took a stock WWE file.
Yeah.
And got permission from Titan Inc. to do it.
Yeah, and it worked out.
Change the colors.
Yeah, and they were supposed to have a WWE superstar there. Wild guess. It's gonna be Randy Orton.
Show me Randy Orton and his dad.
Yeah, that's my guess since they live in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So, but that'd be cool either way. So I think he's just doing activities, nothing really.
Outside the NWO is reunited and going on tour
on October 26th, which is weird.
I wonder how much it would cost to get them.
Tell Hulk Hogan, hey, swing by.
Dude, get all three of them in for WWE night.
That'd be awesome, and I'd be like, look at this shirt. I'd have to run up and possibly get tackled. Try to get a quick picture with that there, but it'd be worth it. I think at the end of the day,
dude, I'd be insane.
So we're excited about that. I know some people aren't excited about WWE night. It's cool, man. I don't care. It's just to me that people complain about Pride Night. That's the way I look at it.
Agreed. We can go back and forth. I've already seen people upset last night that the Woos came back. You can not like it all you want.
Yeah.
The fact is, they're doing a WWE night this year.
Yeah.
And that tells you something, that you're in the minority if you don't like it. As we've talked about ad nauseum with multiple things when it comes to in-game entertainment and the Blues, number one, I'm far more concerned with the product on the ice than I am what the theme night is or the personnel telling me when to yell, "Let's go Blues." But number two is you're never going to make 100% of the people happy 100% of the time.
Correct.
You're not. And for every one person who doesn't like the Woos, there's just as many people who love it. For every one person who doesn't like the DJs that they're doing now. There's people who love it. For everyone who who loved or didn't like, the old in-game host, there's someone who loves or hates it. You're never going to appease everyone at the same time. And at the end of the day, it's the only thing constant is change. And in 2 years, we're all going to forget about all of this. No one's going to remember.
Correct.
Winning cures all ills. And that's why, as long as this team goes out on the ice and performs for 82 games the way that we know they can, nothing else is going to be a problem.
Yeah. So my 2 cents is like, I go to watch the game. The in-game entertainment thing is just background music
fun,
to me.
But it's filler.
But that's
it
to
is
me
elevator music to me.
But at the same time, like I've said many times when people got yelled at me on Twitter about it, I say I'm not there 40 plus games a year. I'm there for maybe a handful. So that's why when I go there, I'm just legit like excited to be there and focus on the game. Like the double team night, yeah, maybe I'll check out like when they had when Star Wars night, they had people dressed up around the thing. You got pictures when you walked around. Okay. Like I did that for maybe 10 minutes, but then I went and watched the game. I didn't sit there during when the puck dropped and I'm out there taking pictures with all the people who have been Star Wars stuff. That's not why I'm there. I'm there to go
and watch the game.
I do the stuff beforehand, then I go watch the game. That's just me.
All
like I
the
said,
other stuff is just
to get other people in who normally wouldn't be there.
That's exactly right. It's to get someone who may not be a hockey fan to go, boy, you know what? I really like Star Wars. Let's go to this. Or, you know what? Little Stevie loves wrestling. I love hockey. Let's take him. And all of a sudden, Stevie becomes a wrestling or a hockey fan.
Which I had somebody hit us up on the Facebook about that, and they said, hey, I'm going to take my nephew to the game for his first game, and he really loves wrestling. Is there a way to maybe help him enjoy the night better? I said, hey, why don't you get him a toy wrestling belt to wear at the game along with like the shirt that you're getting?
Yeah.
And then so that way he's into wrestling, but you go out and watch hockey, then he can get entertained by that too, and then
Absolutely.
hopefully he falls in love with it. And then if it does, great. If not, then he can maybe consider it a fun night, wants to go back maybe once or twice a year. Maybe he won't watch it on TV. Maybe he won't never buy a jersey. But
it all starts somewhere.
Yeah.
So, you're exactly right.
And the person was just like, oh, thanks for the suggestion. And it's just like something little like that could go a long way. Like my daughter, like I just said, hey, went to a preseason game and like you watch it. She still watches on occasion with me, but she knows who Vladimir Tarasenko is.
Sure.
She has a shirt that we went to the Arch Apparel thing a couple weeks ago when Lou Fest got canceled.
Right.
And she has a shirt that has like a bunch of Blues players' names like Edmondson, Tarasenko, Shen. And so she's like, who are they? And I showed them pictures and showed her highlights. So she asked about it when it was on the shirt, and she wanted that shirt. There you go. Cool. So, I don't know. Like I said, just have fun. Just stop complaining.
Agreed.
Simple. We'll leave it at that. So, like we talked about, wrap it up there on Twitter at Blues Hockey NHL. Chris is at
Hosselpalooza.
Also on Facebook, Blues Hockey Podcast. Also, don't want to forget this, Instagram. We'll start doing a little bit more on there, throwing pictures
What
up.
up, millennials?
Yeah,
we're on the gram.
Yeah, look at us.
Or on Insta, whatever you call
We'll be
it.
Snapchat, Tinder next.
Yes, let's start that.
We'll be on Tinder next to look for that.
Swipe left.
So, right? I thought it was right.
I don't know.
Right now. No. It tells you you're not into it. So, let's see. That. Blues Hockey Podcast
Net.
Okay. So, and once again, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and soon to be YouTube once they approve us, which I don't think they should not approve us because we're great. So
I agree.
So wrapped up there. Like I said, we're going to start going this every week. Send us questions via all the socials I just mentioned. Excuse me. Also, Blues Hockey Podcast at gmail.com. Hit us up there if you got a longer question that will not fit into 162 characters and or Facebook. I'm usually pretty good about checking them. I believe all of us have access to the Facebook, I believe.
Yes.
I usually run the Twitter. But if you want to hit Chris up, Chris is always
I'm around
to answer any Blues-centric questions or, unfortunately, no offense, Buffalo Bills questions for this year.
0-16, here we come.
But, like I said, Bills Mafia, that's the only thing we're worried about this year.
We put people through tables real good.
I saw the one the other day where the guy got knocked legit. I thought he was
He's
dead.
Jumped off the top of his.
Just went head
jumped
first.
off the top of a mobile RV.
Missed half the table, went head first into the ground.
And
everybody's like, back up, and then he's like, oh, that dude's dead. That's all
He's
you hear in
dead.
the background. Oh man, great. Unfortunately for Chris, like a long-suffering fan, you and Donnie. I just don't know how you do it.
It's rough.
So anyway, we'll leave it there, and Chris will drink his sorrows away tonight. Who's your first pick tonight for our fantasy draft?
I don't know where I'm picking.
I have to look it up. I believe you're middle of the pack, if I want to say. It's the hard one, right in the middle. I conveniently am a number one. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I didn't make myself number one. I have no idea where I'm at. I think you were in the middle. I think I'm near the end of the draft, actually. Out of 12 teams, we're expanding this year, so it'll actually be challenging.
So let's just say I'm 6th.
Yeah, let's go halfway.
And I'm going to take a stab at who's going to be available. I'm going to say I'm probably, hopefully, going to get maybe a Steven Stamkos.
That's not a bad pick.
Maybe a Pat Kane.
Or Kucherov.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think it's going to go McDavid.
Taylor Hall, possibly.
Yeah, I was going to say McDavid, Ovechkin, Tavares.
Possibly with the new team. Hall will be up there.
Taylor Hall will be up there.
You might get Hall at 6. That's not a bad choice.
So we'll see. I don't know, man.
And all your sleeper picks. I'm stupid. I just literally pick all my sleeper. I literally put a list of sleeper guys, and I just wait until the end of the draft and just hopefully draft all those guys.
We'll see. I don't know.
So we'll see how that goes. So I'll hold my pick to myself then, just to be safe. No, I'm joking. It's hard to do at the end of the draft. In the first round, it's kind of hard to kind of guess. But my pick, if I get to him, would be Kucherov or somebody like Taylor Hall if he falls that high. So
I agree.
We'll see. Anyway, that's what we're doing tonight. So that'll be fun. So maybe we'll post our teams on the socials after we're done just to see and let's see what you guys think. So we'll wrap it up there. I'm rambling. Let's go eat some dinner. Talk to you guys soon.
See ya.